Hi, Tammy. Nice to see you
Nice
again.
to see you.
Did you find everything all right today?
Yeah,
Was the traffic okay?
yeah, it wasn't too bad.
Okay, good. Was there anything I can get you, like water? Do you want a blanket?
No, thank you. I think I'm fine right now.
Okay. A different chair.
No.
Okay. So how have things been with you for the past week?
Um, it's just been okay. I've just had a lot on my plate with my daughter. Just the same thing.
So what's going on with your daughter?
Um, well, the other day I got a call and she wanted me to take her to the clinic because she had told me that she was engaging in some unprotected sexual activities, and so it's just more stress that I have to worry about. Not only do I have to worry about her not coming home, but just all these thoughts about, like, oh, well, why isn't she coming home, and no, she could be getting pregnant, and all these things. So it's just a lot.
So you've had a rough week.
Sure have.
So she came to you and told you this?
Yeah, she told me because she thought she might have been pregnant. So um, she asked me to take her to the clinic to get checked.
Okay. And she got checked and she was not pregnant.
No, but she had a STI, so that was something else we had to deal with.
Oh wow. Okay. So you took her. This was you took her to the doctor, I guess, obviously. Um, and did you have any conversation with her about all of that?
Um, no, she had something that she said she had to get done, and so she just asked me to drop her off after that, and then I haven't really seen her that much since.
What do you mean? She said she had something that she had to get done.
Well, she said, oh, I'm gonna go apply for this job and blah blah blah. And so she told me to drop her off at a friend's house so she could go get ready, and then she was gonna head over there. So I really haven't seen her too much since then to sit down and talk to her about
Oh,
what happened at the clinic.
but you took her to the clinic, right?
I did.
Okay. So you just took her there, and y'all did not talk about any of this.
No, not really. I think she was really embarrassed on the
So
way
did
home.
she tell you that she had the STD, or
No, the doctor told me when he came in. He gave her like a urine test for pregnancy, and I guess when he did that, he found out that she had something else going on.
well, okay, so y'all did not talk about that. Does she know that you know?
Yeah, I was there when the doctor came in and told her. I stayed in the room with her.
Okay. Uh, wow. So your daughter had an STD after you had taken her to get birth control a couple of years ago,
Hmm.
and I guess she wasn't using the birth control, and then she obviously wasn't using anything else. So then she got the STD, and she thought she was pregnant. And you took her to the clinic, and y'all did not talk about any of that on the way home at all.
No, I knew she was probably dealing with a lot, so I didn't want to hound her as soon as we got in the car, and I figured I would probably see her um, like a little bit after that, so that we would have other opportunities to talk about it. But I really haven't seen her too much since then.
Okay, okay. Uh, so are you waiting for her to come to you to talk about it, or you're just waiting for her to be a little bit less embarrassed?
I'm just waiting for a good opportunity. Uh, I haven't. She hasn't come around the house as much since then, and she I'm just trying to find the right time. I don't want to barge in her room at midnight when she gets home and sit her down and talk about it. But I don't know when the right time would be.
So is she staying out? Do you think she's staying out to avoid having to talk to you about this?
Possibly.
Okay. Uh, okay. Well, okay. This session, we're going to do things a little bit differently. We are going to go over the treatment plan that I developed. The treatment plan is basically a list of what's been going on with you, like some of the issues that you're having, uh, what's causing those issues, and then how we can work together to resolve some of those issues. Uh, so this time we're going to talk about some of the problems you've been having and what's behind those problems. Uh, we're gonna do a little activity together to help you better understand how you're thinking and what's behind your some of your behaviors and the way you're feeling. So we're going to do all of that this time, and we're going to talk about situations that lead to thoughts, and thoughts that lead to feelings, and the feelings lead to some of the things that you're doing uh, to deal with what's been going on with your life. Uh, do you have any questions about any of that? About what we're going
No,
to do today?
not right now.
Okay. All right. So are you ready to get started?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so for your treatment plan, some of the issues that I listed that you were having was that you've been feeling overwhelmed. Like last time you said that, you're a single mom and you're just trying to do your best to raise your daughter, and you feel like you told your daughter right from wrong, but you don't know what went wrong, why she's making the decisions that she's making. Uh, I think you've been feeling unappreciated a little bit, like your daughter doesn't appreciate everything that you do for her. Uh, like you feel like she just doesn't understand, I guess, that you have the responsibility of raising her and providing for her. And I got the impression that you don't think she understands that, and you feel like she doesn't respect you, I guess, and she doesn't see everything that how hard you're working to try to raise her. I also see that you are very anxious and that you are worried a lot and stressed out a lot. Um, so I can see that you've been, anxious about what's going on with your daughter, and you're worried about your daughter and her future and what is going to happen to her, and you should be worried because the things that she's doing are not okay, and you need, you know, you need some help dealing with all of that, everything that's going on with her. Uh, so for the treatment plan, the goals that I have for you to work on while we're having sessions together are to reduce your anxiety, the level of anxiety that you are feeling about your daughter, and the things, her issues that she's got going on. Um, Reducing some of the negative thoughts that you might have. Um, Improving how you communicate with your daughter because it seems like she doesn't understand how you feel, and maybe you don't understand how she feels all the way. So we're going to work on that, and we're going to try to work on some of the things that are underlying the ways that you're thinking. Okay. Uh, to work on your goals, we're going to use uh, a counseling technique, and it's called cognitive behavioral therapy. Uh, Cognitive behavioral therapy is where it's a belief that we something happens to us. We have a certain thought about the thing that happened. The thought that we have causes us to feel a certain way, and then the feelings that we have cause us to act a certain way. So this whole technique is based on the idea that if we can change the way we think, then we can change the way we act. So we work on the thoughts that we're having, and then we work on the feelings, and we work through them, and it's a process. And it's a step-by-step process, and you've got to stop and recognize. The first part is stopping and recognizing the thought. And I guess that's really the hardest part because it makes you have to stop what you're doing and realize this is the thought that I'm having, and realize I have to modify this thought because I need to work through this thought that I'm having, and I need to evaluate the thought. Is it a true thought? Is what I'm thinking rational? Is it, is there any weight to it? And if not, then how can I change it to help me think things that are more rational and are going to be more productive and are going to change my behaviors and help me, you know, deal with situations better. Do you have any questions about that?
No.
Okay. Okay, so we're going to use that to work on all of your treatment goals. Uh, okay, so for us to work through your thoughts, we have this, it's a little diagram that helps us think through our thoughts. At the beginning, you know, when we're first starting out, we need like a guideline to help us, work through everything. So we're going to go through some of the things that have happened to you, okay? Some of the situations that have caused anxiety in your life. Okay, well, let's start with the one that you just talked about your daughter having unprotected sex. Okay, so that is our first situation. What was your first thought when you realized that your daughter was having unprotected sex?
That she's gonna get pregnant.
Okay, that she's gonna get pregnant. Okay, okay. What did that mean to you when you thought that she was going to get pregnant?
That I'm a bad mom.
You thought that you were a bad mother?
Like if I allowed my teenage daughter to go out and have unprotected sex and she got pregnant, that would show that that would reflect on me that I'm a bad mom.
Okay, so you're feeling like you are a bad mother because your daughter made a bad choice.
Right.
Okay, okay. Um, so I guess the feeling that you're having as a result of believing that you're a bad mom is anxiety.
Right.
Okay. Is there anything else?
No,
Any other
just
kind of
anxiety.
emotion that you have?
No.
Okay. Um, so what did you do that night after all of that happened and y'all came home?
Well, I cried a little bit and then I opened a bottle of wine.
How much of the wine did you finish?
Probably like three-fourths of it.
Okay. That's a lot of wine.
Yeah, well, that situation needed a lot of wine.
Okay. Okay. Can you think of another situation that has happened with your daughter, or just in maybe not with your daughter, just in your
Um,
life? Something that has happened to you that,
well, I think just a lot of stuff that happens to me as a result of my daughter. It's all I think about. So, I guess another situation would be like my daughter not coming home at night, and like I don't
okay,
know where she's at.
okay. Uh, what is your thought that you have when she doesn't come home? Like it's 10 o'clock and she's supposed to be there and she doesn't come home. What are you thinking?
I just tend to panic, and then I think like all these irrational thoughts, like, oh my God, she's dead in a ditch.
Okay, dead in a ditch. All right. Okay. So what does that thought mean to you when you think my daughter is dead in a ditch?
I'm a bad mom.
That you, it goes back to you. Okay. Being a bad mom. And how does that make you feel?
Um, Anxious.
Anxious. And what do you do because you're anxious?
Um, well, usually the only way I can just deal with it is um, really just to drink myself to sleep because I know that she's not going to come home, and I know that I don't have a way to get a hold of her. So usually I'll just try to figure something out until I can fall asleep and my mind can stop racing about where she's at.
Okay. So you're drinking to try to cope with the situation that's going on. Okay. All right. What is another situation that's happened to you?
Um, I guess my husband leaving me.
Okay. Okay. What was your thought when your husband left?
That I'm not worthy.
Okay. Ah, what does that thought mean to you?
Just that I'm like I can't
You're not worthy of what?
being loved.
Okay.
I'm unlovable.
Okay. And how does that make you feel? What emotions do you have when you think that you are unlovable?
Sadness.
Okay. Anything else?
No.
And what do you do? What's the behavior that comes from that? From being sad and from thinking that you are unlovable?
I usually just like shut off and don't go out of my way to make relationships with other people.
Okay. Okay. So do you see how we identified we identified some situations. Then we identified the thoughts that you were having about the situation. Then we identified what the thought really meant. And then we identified the feeling that came from the thought and then the behavior. Do you
Right.
see how we did that? Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to work through, we'll take your daughter having unprotected sex. We'll work through that and we'll think about how you could do it, how you could change it. Okay? All right, so you realize your daughter's having unprotected sex. That is the situation, right?
Right.
Okay. That's what led to the unpleasant emotion. Uh, and you thought your daughter is going to get pregnant. Okay, so now we need to know how much do you believe that? What percentage do you believe that she's going to get pregnant?
Like 95%.
Okay, 95%. Okay. And then you said you felt anxiety, and how tense was the anxiety from 1 to 100?
100%.
100%. Okay. Okay. So your automatic thought was that she's going to get pregnant. Uh, so how can we determine if that is true or not true?
Well, obviously, if she gets pregnant or she doesn't get pregnant.
She gets pregnant or not, you took her to take the test, and
Right.
she took the test,
was,
right?
yeah.
So we did that, and we found out that the automatic thought was not true this time.
Right.
Uh, so uh, is there an alternative explanation? There's not really an alternative explanation to this because there's only one explanation to pregnancy.
Right.
What's the worst that could happen? What would be the worst thing that could happen if she did get pregnant?
Would be the fact that she got pregnant.
She got pregnant, and then what happens though?
That I just.
What would be the worst outcome?
I guess I don't know if it's an abortion.
That would be
No,
the
I don't
worst
know.
outcome?
I mean, for her,
Okay.
maybe.
Okay.
Just dealing with like the guilt and stuff, or just not even.
Okay.
Just having a baby in general. She's not going to be able to take care of it. That's guilt. If she has an abortion, that's guilt. If she has to give it up for adoption, there's going to be guilt later on. Like the whole situation in general, I'm going to have to watch the effects of it, whether it's now or later.
Okay. So if that did happen, if she got pregnant and whether she decided to keep it or not, whatever the outcome would be, how would you deal with that?
Can you repeat the question?
If your daughter got pregnant, how would you deal with that? How would you cope with your daughter being pregnant and having a baby or not?
Um, that's kind of hard to say because I mean there's so many different routes that could happen, but I don't think it's something that I'd willingly accept.
Okay. So you are saying that you would not cope with it?
I think it would be hard for me to deal with her being a teenage mom or knowing that she's had an abortion or just any of those
So just the pregnancy in general would be
right.
the hardest thing for you to overcome.
Her creating a human being.
is that thought is scary to you.
Extremely.
Okay. Uh, and you don't know how you would deal with it.
Right.
Okay. What's the best that could happen?
Well, I guess she doesn't get pregnant, but let's say if she did get pregnant, I guess the best thing that could come out of it is if having a baby like grounded her and she realizes that she has another life that she has to take care of and that she's responsible for, and maybe it would allow her to realize that there's more than herself and she becomes a little bit more responsible because of it, or even steps up to take care of the child.
Okay. Um, so what is the most realistic outcome? What do you see if she did get pregnant? What do you think would happen? What do you think she might do? What do you see as being the most realistic outcome?
Hmm. Well, I feel like she would tell me that she could probably take care of a child, and she would want to, um, I guess, prove me wrong. Um,
So you think that she would have the kid to defy
out of
you
spite. I think she would have the kid out of spite,
and try to raise it right to spite you?
but I feel like as much as she means well in that idea, that when it comes down to it, she's not going to be able to follow through.
That's what her intentions might be, but reality, she's going to still want to go out and have fun and be a
Right,
teenager.
I think she's going to have a hard time giving up the life that she has, and even it's not my kid. I'm not choosing to have another kid, and I'm not gonna pay for her to have a kid and mess around and go do all that. So I feel like the only way that I can, I guess, teach her a lesson is to let her do it on her own.
Okay. Um, okay, so your automatic thought was that she would get pregnant because she had unprotected sex, right?
Right.
What is the effect of you have believing that she is going to get pregnant? What does it do to you to believe that thought?
Gives me anxiety.
It gives you anxiety. Okay. If you changed that thought, what would the effect be?
Um, Less anxiety.
Less anxiety. So what should you do about changing this thought?
I mean, I guess in reality, I've taken her to get birth control, and I just maybe I need to tell her that she probably needs to be a little bit more conscientious of when she's taking it and make sure that she's taking it on schedule. But really, as a mother, I feel like I've done all that I can do to ensure that she's not going to be getting pregnant. Like, there's
Okay.
nothing else that I can do.
Okay. Uh, if you had a friend in this situation, what would you tell your friend to do?
Never have kids in the first place.
Too late. Deal with it.
Okay.
What would you tell your friend that already has a 15-year-old daughter to do?
Um, well, she can't drop her off at the fire station because there's an
No,
age
it's too
limit
late
for
for that
that.
too.
So I guess I would just tell her to not be so insecure in the way that she's raising a, her child, because she's given it all that she can, and um, I mean, it kind of is what it is.
That she's done the best that she
Yeah,
can do, and
and
she's,
hopefully her child will succeed.
yes, she has to believe in herself.
Right.
Okay. Um, okay. So now that we've kind of gone through all this, how much do you believe now that your daughter is going to get pregnant for having unprotected sex?
Well, science doesn't lie, so I feel like there's still a pretty good chance that if she were engaging in those types of behaviors, that she could still get pregnant, but if I'm open with her about methods that we could use that can decrease that, and she's actually taking my advice, I mean, I'd say maybe like a 50% chance. Like, the chance is still there, let's be real, but if I'm giving her some of the tools and the knowledge, that hopefully she can make a better decision, which could lead to her not getting pregnant.
Yes, and not getting any more STDs.
Right.
Uh, okay, so how do you feel now about,
I feel a little bit better.
do you?
Yeah.
Okay. Uh, do you still feel the anxiety?
I mean, the anxiety will always be there with children, but I just feel like it's decreasing a little bit, or just thinking about it from
So you were,
another point
we're
of
at
view.
100% anxiety. How are you thinking about your anxiety now?
Probably like a 50.
Like a 50%? Okay. Uh, all right. So do you see how we did this? How we went through your thought process?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's think about your daughter not coming home.
Okay.
When your daughter doesn't come home, you said your automatic thought is that she's dead in a ditch.
Right.
Okay, that's what went through your mind automatically. And then you said that you felt anxious about that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, how high was your anxiety on a scale from 1 to 100?
When?
Whenever she didn't come home the last time.
Oh,
and
like 100%.
you thought that she was dead in a ditch. Okay, all right. Um, and how much did you believe that she was actually dead in a ditch?
Like 40%.
40%? Okay. Okay. So what was the evidence that she was not actually dead in the ditch?
When she came home the next morning.
Okay. Was there anything before she came home that made you think that maybe she was not dead in the ditch?
No.
Did you text her or anything?
When she's out with her friend, she doesn't answer me, so I couldn't get a hold of her, but I just had to believe that she was alive somewhere, because if not, police probably would have already called me.
Okay, so there's some evidence that she was not dead in a ditch. The lack of police communication.
Right.
Okay. Uh, so what's another explanation to her not coming home or not calling you besides that she's dead in a ditch?
Um, that she just doesn't want to talk to me.
Okay.
That she just wants me to worry about
That
where
she
she's
wants
at.
you to worry about her? Okay. Uh, what's the worst that could happen?
That she's dead in a
That
ditch.
she's dead in the ditch, okay? This is horrible. If that happened, how would I cope? That's horrible.
Well, I'd probably be a nervous wreck, and I'd probably drink more than I drink now.
I couldn't see that. Uh,
If we're being
okay.
honest.
Yeah, I can see that. So what's the best that could happen?
That she's not dead in a
That
ditch.
she's not dead in a ditch. Yeah, that would be good.
That's ideal.
Yes. So what's the most realistic outcome when she doesn't come home?
Oh, that she's probably just out somewhere having unprotected sex. Let's be honest.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's a realistic outcome. Okay, so what is the result of you believing that she's dead in a ditch? What does that cause you?
Anxiety.
It causes you anxiety again. Um, so what would change if you did not believe that she was dead in a ditch, if you didn't automatically jump to, oh, she's dead in a ditch? What would that change in you?
Less anxiety.
It might lessen your anxiety. Okay, so what are you going to do to help you have less anxiety when your daughter does not come home?
I guess I'll just do my best to not feed myself negative thoughts.
Okay, so the first thing is to recognize them, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you've got to pay attention and you've got to think. When you're thinking, oh my God, she's dead in a ditch, you have to think, okay, no, that's probably not reality. Reality is probably she's just having unprotected sex somewhere.
Right.
Okay. Um, all right, so do you see how we're doing this?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Uh, this is going to help you, using this strategy is going to help you all the time in your life, like in any situation. It doesn't have to do with your daughter. It doesn't have to be something, it can be with anybody in your life. It's not just how you work on your relationship with your daughter. It can be for all situations and all of your thoughts that, all of your irrational thoughts that are not productive. They're not helping you they're not helping you in any way. You know, thinking that your daughter is going to be dead in a ditch is not going to help you do anything. It's not going to change anything. It's, worrying about something like that, it's not going to make it not true. So, you know, you shouldn't just jump to, oh my God, she's dead in a ditch. Okay, so we're about to be out of time. Uh, is there anything else that you want to talk about this time?
No.
Nothing else? Okay. Uh, well, we did a lot of work. We worked through some of your thoughts that you've been having and talked about how they're making you feel and about how what you're doing, some of the behaviors that you're doing because of the thoughts that you're having. Um, you made a lot of progress in recognizing, some of the thoughts that you're having and the behaviors that you're having as a result of those thoughts. Um, so, what I want you to do for next week, I want you to pay attention to what you're thinking when you get in these situations when, if your daughter doesn't come home or you try to communicate with her and she is not responsive, uh, or, whatever happens to you. You can think about it and you're going to keep a thought record. And you're going to write down your thoughts, you're going to write down the situation, the day and the time, the situation, the thought that you had, how you felt about the thought, the alternative responses that you could have had to instead of having the automatic thought. What could you have done here? And all of that, these questions are here to lead you to alternatives. And then the outcome. So what happened after all of it was done? And what did you do? All right? So this is going to be, you can keep that and you can record all of your thoughts and, any negative emotions and thoughts and situations that come up. You need to recognize them and write them down and pay attention and work through them, okay? It's going to help you deal with, it's going to help you lessen your anxiety,
Okay.
okay? All right. Okay, so do you have any questions for me?
No.
Um, nothing? Are you going to be able to do this?
Yeah, I think I can do it.
Okay. Eventually, I'm going to want to see your daughter and we can have some sessions together with your daughter.
Okay.
So be thinking about that, having that in your mind, uh, trying to get her here and thinking about presenting that idea to her about coming to counseling.
Okay.
Okay? All right, so let's get you set up for next time, make you an appointment for next time, and we will see you then.
Okay.
All
Awesome.
right,
Thank you.
thank you.